Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another virtual plant clinic this wonderful Thursday morning. And as you can see here at Dr. Bill's virtual plant clinic, we're having a very hard time finding, what's his name? Dr. Bill.
Dr.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes, we are having, but you know what? He's a very busy man. He's not very far away from us at this moment. Last week he was literally in Gainesville. Right now he's literally, 20, 40 feet away in another room conducting other business. So we all knew that it would be fine because, we got Bernie again. I am Lily Browning with the Hernando County Utilities Water and Sewer Department. I'm the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program Coordinator here in Hernando County. Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Buddy. Good morning, Bassem. And again, I am Bill's regular co-host, but apparently I have a regular co-host here of Hernando County Master Gardener Volunteer Extraordinaire, Mr. Bernie Bathhour. I came once again down to the actual physical plant clinic that they have here in Hernando County. To crash his plant clinic, and this is a pretty hopping place here this morning. We had
very busy.
We there's people having a good time over in the other room. We have a master gardener who was a master gardener for 40 years in Colorado. She's now a Florida master gardener, and she wanted to come and learn from the best here, Mr. Bernie. And there's a gentleman sneaking around. I told you he wasn't very far away. Do you want to pop in and say hello, or do you want to just keep taking pictures of us? See, I told you.
Sure, here. I'll stick. Hey, there we go. I'm on the screen now. Good morning, everyone. I'm tied up for the. Okay, I'm tied up for the whole day. I'm good. Tied up for the whole day running a conference online. So I'm going to leave this in Lily and Bernie's hands. I'm sure they can answer everything today.
We're in contract negotiations for a spinoff, by the way. It's going to be the Lily and Bernie show.
We could do that. Get a hold of me.
Okay, and Buddy and Lee and Bassam is here. Oh, before you go off, I'm not sure how to do that sharing of the email. No, so you can help me with that. Do I click share, right?
Okay, do you have an email? And
first?
if you open the email, open the picture.
But I didn't click share. I need to do that, right?
Well, it has to be open, and then when you go to click share, it'll be one of your choices.
Okay, but it should be open. Hard to do without two.
Yeah, that's a really small monitor.
Yes.
So
does open and shrink down count?
Probably.
Let's try.
Go to
share
screen, and then go all the way over to try Chrome tab.
Nope.
Okay, is the email open on Chrome or a different browser?
It's open on Chrome.
Are you sure? Click on the.
On the what?
Double click on it to open it, probably.
I don't know if everybody can see this or not.
Probably not, because you have to screen share it. So
yes.
What do we do?
Good question. Okay. So let's hit share. Lee, we're trying to share your beautiful pictures. That's what we're trying to do.
You can try one more time.
Share screen. I only see. Oh. Okay. Do you think they see this?
Probably. I can't guarantee it.
We're working with one monitor.
And then when you're done, if you just click quit share.
Okay. Let us know
if you're able to open multiple screens, you can.
Yeah. Let us know if you can see. Now it's disappeared again. Okay. There you go. Let us know if you can see this.
Okay. I have to go deal with my own problems.
Okay. All right. Lee wanted to share some of her wonderful proceeds in her garden in Broward County. It does say it's sharing, so I'm hoping that you all can see it. See if I can find you guys again. Just leave me a note whether you can see it or not, because I don't want to spend too much time at it if you guys can't see it. But we're looking at wonderful vegetables of leaves there in Broward County. Beautiful cabbage, mustard greens, cauliflower, all those wonderful winter crops. Scallions mixed in with sunflowers, or next to sunflowers, the pictures. German Johnson tomato, Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes, compact cherry tomatoes. Man, she's got a food forest down there. Look at these.
Oh, beautiful bananas.
Yes, yes.
Pretty good plants.
Yep. And now we get into the flowers. Gaillardia, frog fruit. I'm not sure what is that.
Without my glasses.
Oh, you know, come on, you know, the viney thing. That's Florida.
Wisteria?
Not wisteria, no, the with the red bracts and the pink and all that. It's a very common name. Anyway, here's a couple butterfly attractors, and we're going to talk about this. Some angels, trumpet, milkweed, and some. No, I just lost that name too. Of course, I just had it. Looks like salvias. All kind of beautiful. Oh, look at the coontie as well. So thank you, Lee, and I hope everyone could see that. Oh, what is the base name for this? This one, Claridendron. Oh. Okay, we're going to stop sharing for now. Close current tab. Let's see if we can get back. Okay. Yay, Buddy says we could see that. Thank you, Buddy. I'm glad I just didn't waste 3 minutes of your time. So those were beautiful pictures. Thank you, Lee, for sharing. I say next week, we all meet in Lee's yard, Broward County. Send your address, Lee. We'll all meet down there. Buddy will drive down from Tallahassee to Broward. Don't worry, we're just teasing you. Gas prices are going to keep us, right here where we are. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. We got something great here in Hernando County just last night and this morning. Did you notice that?
I got rain.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it in so long I had to ask my wife what it was. But she remembered. Fortunately, she's a little sharper than I am.
Okay. We even got rain at my house, which is fairly shocking. Where I live, I swear, is a donut hole of, of the rain does not go there, but we got a lot. So when I was driving to work this morning, you know what I saw? This odd color I haven't seen in a while either. Green. Yes. Everything was so that bright spring green was just, and I told you, remember I told you? Yeah. Don't worry about everything being straw colored, golden colored, brown colored, because first spring rain, everything is going to really green up. And how I really recognize spring is when all the trees have that light new green. When you're driving around, you can pick that out. So we're definitely in spring, even though it's supposed to get cold this weekend, isn't it?
It's supposed to get down into the 30s here.
Yes.
And I think this weather has fouled up our oak trees because so many of the trees are late in changing the leaves this year. It's
they're not late in pollinating.
No. I've had several people complain that they haven't relieved yet, and that's going to be a problem because it's going to extend the pollen season. So if you're a sufferer, you're probably going to have an extra month this year of heavy tree pollen.
I've noticed just this week a lot of things relieving outside of the cubicle where I live, or I'm sorry, where I work. We had, well, it's on the second floor, but it's a real high second floor. It could easily be a third floor. sycamores. We have a wall of windows. It's absolutely gorgeous where our cubicles are. The more important people with offices, they have a lovely view of the Highway 50 and 7-Eleven and stuff. Those of us in cubicles have really nice, much nicer view. And sycamore trees out there, not something I would recommend in a lot of places, but they've grown really tall, so they are our companions, you know, to our windows there. And I swear leaves got on the one near my cubicle in one day. I actually had to look at pictures because I took pictures the day before, and there were some leaves on it. I just hadn't quite noticed them, but it burst out in leaves in a day, overnight. The reason I took pictures the day before is because suddenly firefighters decided to come to our building and practice and put their big, long, extended ladder thing, you know, right past where I sit in my cubicle. I was hyperventilating because I was sure they were going to fall off, but, you know, they're professionals. And so anyway, Lee says we can feel free to visit anytime. So let's all go down to Broward County. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention. Your yard is absolutely gorgeous. But it reminded me, because I did notice the tropical milkweed. And I know you want to attract the monarchs, and all of us are doing, you know, what we can to save the monarchs. Now, this might be a bit of a different talk for you in South Florida than someone in Central or North Florida. So just keep that in mind, because there are monarchs who, that's their last stop, is South Florida. So, you know, you may be okay down there with that tropical milkweed, although the better alternative is always the native milkweeds.
Do we know that the migratory butterflies actually go down into southern Florida? I thought that this area, like Interstate 4, was about as far as they went, but that may not be correct. Do you have any knowledge?
Just what, you know, I have been anecdotally told that there's a group that stays in South Florida. For those of us here in Central and North Florida and anywhere else, really, this is a bit of a difficult talk because we all wanted to jump on the bandwagon of saving the monarchs, right? It was a big, big, big thing, and everybody, you know, had to go out and get milkweed. So the stores, you're like, oh yeah, here's a way to make money. Well, what's the easiest milkweed for them to get? That tropical milkweed. That tropical milkweed is native to Mexico, where, you know, most of the monarchs are trying to get to. Well, the problem with it is if you're growing it Central, North Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania, all the way up there, up north, they are going to freeze back. But here in especially Central Florida, they don't freeze back. They don't die back because of shorter daylight hours like our native milkweeds would do. So why is that a problem? Because you have a plant that's supposed to grow in Mexico. You have these butterflies that think, oh, I'm in Mexico. Oh, I'm at the end of my journey. That's, you know, one of the issues. And they stick around, don't go further south, and then we have a freeze. And those butterflies are not built to withstand a freeze. Or they utilize them as host plants. You have a caterpillar that emerges in January, February with nothing to eat. You know, no nectar, not enough nectaring plants around. So, and I just read a scientific article. I think Dr. Lester sent it to me, or I sent it to him, one or the other, back and forth. And it was from several universities, and I'm waiting to see what the University of Florida is going to say, but I think every university is going to back it. It was a scientific, you know, paper talking about this protozoa, this natural protozoa that monarch butterflies have, called OE. I'm not even going to try and say its name. Just look up monarch and OE. And it's natural. It's on them. It's, this protozoa that, grows on them. And they've always had it and, have dealt with it. But when humans got involved in trying to save them, and in the best place in our heart, wanted to plant more milkweeds, and what was available with this tropical milkweed. And what have we learned about social distancing in the past 2 years?
Hasn't been very effective, but with the monarchs, it turned out to be a real problem. You bring a big group of monarchs together, and the population goes down.
Because they start passing this protozoa around. There's too many of them hanging around them. Now, I know when they go to Mexico, that's all they do is hang around with each other. But again, that's natural. So the weak ones, they may die off anyway, but if they can't even get that far and they're passing around this protozoa to each other, doesn't hurt the grown butterflies, but it can destroy the chrysalises and the pupa inside, or they may be born deformed and never be able to make the trip, or they, may not be born at all. So, and this scientific paper has found that 3 main causes. One of them is the overuse of the tropical milkweed. The other one is big-hearted humans trying to help out and having the indoor type rearing of the butterflies, of the monarchs. And then the other one is, like if you order them to be released at a wedding or a funeral or something like that, so you helped create that business. And, I think those 2 things are even more responsible than, it all works together. So as a homeowner, what do? Well, we try our very, very best to get native milkweed. And they're working hard, the native milkweed producers. It's that big circle. If we don't buy it, then it's not, productive for them to try and sell it. But also it's hard to propagate. So they're not going to keep trying if they don't have a market. And then there's not a market, so we give up and we go to where it's easy to buy. It's a perpetual thing. But they're working. So do your best to get the native kind. If you have the tropical milkweed in Central or North, either take it out, which is what Lee is going to do, or at the very, very, very least, keep it cut back October through April.
Right. What people don't really realize is that these monarchs congregate basically on 2 locations, 2 small locations in Mexico. And a few years back, there was a freeze in their roosting site. There were actually monarch bodies 10 inches deep at their spot. They leave, they go north, they go east, they come south, and then they go west again. Well, the thing about it is that route is fixed. And what's really amazing is that it's not the same generation that gets back that started out. They have multiple generations to make this total route. But the route is passed on from generation to generation. So there's something that's wired in their brain that tells them how to go. And we don't know what that is. It's, there are a handful of animals that can do that. The Louisiana albatross, the green sea turtles.
It's imprinted in their DNA.
But how
somehow.
it's done and how they navigate, we don't know. People tried the same thing and they end up in a condition known as lost. So.
Well, and, we want to do our best to save the monarchs. So, of course, have a butterfly garden outside. Use natives, as much as humanly possible. But, and I know people with very big hearts who want to, they do all the raising in their screen porch or whatever in those little cages and all of that. and they don't want any wasps to get them, and they, want to feel that they have helped and been successful. The best way we can help is to have butterfly gardens outside and let nature happen. Some of them are going to die, unfortunately. Some of the caterpillars are going to be a nutrient-rich, soft, wonderful meal for a baby bird. Just we have to accept that whole circle of life in order to help.
We have people call the extension and complain that they love butterflies, but they can't stand all these little caterpillars eating their beautiful
Well,
plants.
we've had that too. Yeah,
And
we've literally had that happen. He's not making that up.
and the fact that you're going to have host plants and nectar plants, and you're going to have some caterpillars eat your plant. You need to understand that before you start attempting to do something with the butterflies. You can't do just one and be successful. It really takes both of you. You have to take care of the whole lifestyle.
Right. And so then you have to have plants that are going to be eaten by things, Yeah. We've literally had that. I want the butterflies, but these caterpillars are eating my... That's what they're supposed to do. But that's another issue we have found with the tropical milkweed too, is, and people, trying the rearing process themselves, not just setting it up outside and letting it happen, but trying it themselves. Well, they end up with so many caterpillars that eat up all of their milkweed. Then they have their panic times and they're calling everyone, I need more milkweed, I need more milkweed, I need more milkweed. And again, that's also encouraging that too much closeness of the butterflies that might be passing the protozoa around. And I have had, a master gardener, confess to me that she fell into that and had to get more milkweed because, they were just eating everything. So she ran to the big box store and got the milkweed that they had provided. This is another thing I didn't mention. What do they do in the big box stores to make the plants last longer? Some of them have systemic pesticides in them. All her caterpillars were dead by the next day when she brought those new milkweeds in from the big box store. So that was a very tragic story. So in the abundance of compassion, we as humans sometimes screw things up. So I guess the moral is have your butterfly garden and let nature do what nature does.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Been a very interesting morning. I had a sample brought in.
Let's see if we can get this.
Yeah.
Can we see?
Fellow wanted to know specifically for sure what those are, and those are termites. Turns out that's probably the best preserved sample somebody's brought me.
He told me those were the healthiest termites he's ever seen, aside from the fact that they're dead.
Yeah, those are really nice.
They're hard to see. The camera doesn't want to focus on them.
Yeah, please don't.
I'm not going to crush. I'm not going to crush you.
Okay, I have to identify them out to the exact species.
He wants to key them.
But
so what do you do when you key them?
Well, you look at the veins in the wings. These are really difficult to tell specifically what one you've got until you look at the mouth parts. Some of the insects, you end up counting hairs on their rear end to determine which insect you've got. And
so that's what Bernie does as a master gardener. He counts.
It's kind of
he counts hairs on butts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we do identification, and we need to either be able to identify it here or to provide enough clues that we can get the university to do an identification for us. I'd say we can do probably 99% of the insects that come in here.
Well, this is a time those termites have wings. You said you need to look at the venation on the wings, but this is the time that they are swarming. I lost that word too.
Yeah. There's two types of termites. The subterraneans require moisture, so they have a setup where they can get back to the ground.
The question is, where did he find these?
He found them in a piece of furniture, but the problem there is these look like subterraneans from.
Because
First putting them under a
Cindy is
microscope.
guessing dry wood, and that would be my first thought if it came.
I would
out of
have
a
thought
piece of
plywood, but
furniture, yeah.
the venation is almost certainly subterranean. So if that's correct, that's not too bad. He's going to bring in the frass or poop, and
Don't worry, we always bring up poop in this show.
and that also is an identification
Apparently,
aid.
poop is just part of life.
It is.
Yes.
So we'll know better this afternoon. But
Well, you'll have to
it takes about
let us know next week.
takes about 15 minutes to go through this thing and make a decent identification for real. But
He was, yes, before the cameras turned on, he was tearing the room apart looking for his key that he likes to use. He was rather annoyed that his termite key was not where he usually put it. That's what happens when you share a desk, I guess, with other volunteers. Bernie has a great time as a master gardener. Let's go back to that rain, and it's going to get cool again. I heard a conversation with you and Ellen when I came in, who's watching us. She told us something interesting about Colorado. As a master gardener there, they would used to be able to tell everyone you could start planting after Mother's Day. And then, it would seem like the climate changed and they would get feet of snow. So after Mother's Day, they had to switch to June 1st. That's very interesting because how that mirrors here in Central Florida. We used to tell people March 15th, 5 days from now, March 15th, you are safe. We won't get a frost or freeze after March 15th. And I'd say in the past 10 years, maybe a little longer, that went out the window. And we've had frost or freezes on April 3rd.
yes,
So now I give people a window of March 15th to like April 5th. And how brave are you? I know you've already cut stuff down. I know you have.
no, these are good people that would not do that. They listen to all the horticulturists. These are the smart ones. No, you cut stuff down. Oh no!
You just can't
Well,
help
these
it
are better
sometimes.
people than you are.
I'm just taking that risk. Not everything. Not the stuff that really is using the dead leaves that act as a protectant. Like my firecracker bush, part of that is dead and trying to come back. I've left that alone. But things like sages, that just have big dead sticks that aren't doing anything to protect the new growth. I've cut those down a few things. Because it's so nice out and you can't help it. He is very eager to introduce our friend over here. See, Diana's a master gardener. She's guilty too. She cut stuff down too. This is our friend. I guess, his name is Seymour. No. The guy who fed him was Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember the plant's name. Yeah. Yeah, no, because you say feed me Seymour. So, yeah, the other guy was Seymour. We'd have to look up the plant's name. We've talked about her before, this wonderful person who runs the office here. Her name is Teresa. And she, how it is when the clerical person actually runs everything. But she's also a natural resources program assistant. She's also probably the most creative person I know. So this is just one of her.
And energetic. I have never seen anybody that's on the move constantly. I mean,
yes.
She gets up early and she runs until late in the evening. I don't know how she does it. And
she's magical.
So far,
birds land on her hands. I mean,
there hasn't been anything she can't do, and you need something, and if we don't have it normally at the extension, she says, "Oh, I've got one in the car." we're working on something and we needed a saw. She says, "I got a table saw in the car." Oh, well, that's really good. So we a little while later we're point where we're going to laminate something. Oh, I've got a laminator in the car. I cannot believe it. It's like she's got a little Lowe's out there in the car.
Then when I tell people I used to have Teresa's job, I guess I have to, you know, clarify. I wasn't as good as her. It was pretty good. And Bernie and I, he became a master gardener, and they allowed me in that position to take the training too in '05. And so we, you know, would have a good time. He would come and do the plant clinic just like he's doing now. And we learned a lot together over the years. And that's why it's not hard for us to do this plant clinic, because making stuff up to talk about for an hour is no big deal. We used to do it for 8 hours when I worked here. Except we have to stick to plants on this one. Yeah. But, and then, you know, I got different jobs in the county, and now I'm in this Florida Friendly Landscaping job, which is a perfect job for me. It's I don't work for Extension anymore, but I partner with you guys all the time. So it is really great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to share again. We'll see how lucky I get. Let me try and open my email and then share again. Oh, cool. Look what I did, Bernie. I didn't do that on purpose. Now it's really little. So share, and let's see if we can share some pictures from my email here. Hopefully everyone can see that, and you'll let us know if you saw it or not, because I'm going to share some pictures that I have gotten. These are also on my Facebook page. This is from a county employee. And what do you know what this is, Bernie?
No.
Okay. Yay, you know something Bernie doesn't. This is a native plant called sky blue lupine.
It looks like lupine. I didn't realize we had a native.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And that is very interesting, because this person was told that he had Texas blue bonnet. And when he told me that, I was like, yeah, okay. And then he sent the picture, and I said, okay, that is our native sky blue lupine, which is, they're both lupines. So I can see where the confusion would be. But look what it's growing in. He lives on the coast, near the coast. And this also grows in the woods near my house too, and some patches in my yard, which is also very sandy and dry. And it has these wonderful, like, lamb's ear leaves, and then the wonderful blue spikes. It looks like a water-loving plant, but it's not. You know, don't try to transplant it. It won't be happy with that. You can find seeds for it at different native plant areas, or find it in pots. Let's check to see if people could see that. Yay, thank you, Basam. All right, let's do it again then. This is another picture from a photographer friend of mine. She wanted me to show this, and we've seen a lot of this white ibis. The birds are, you know, out this time of year. And what are they doing there in her yard?
They're looking for insects.
That's right. You see them.
Those are black when they're their first year. They transition from black to white. They become very spotty. So you'll see a group of white with some black spotty ones. Those are at the end of their first year. They are just black for the first year.
Oh, interesting. But here's another sign of spring. And what Alice Mary wanted me to point out about this photo she took is what, you know, a good reason to avoid pesticides, especially this time of year, or broadcast spraying year-long with pesticides, because not only do they need the bugs to survive, they need non-poison bugs to survive.
Most people don't understand, for every one of the insects that does damage, there's something that eats that insect.
Right.
So if you go in and you kill off all the insects, the bad guys come back, and there aren't any good guys to attack them. So the bad guys grow tremendously out of proportion, and where you had everything in balance and didn't really have a problem, as soon as you spray the pesticide, everything's out of balance, and the next year you have real problems, which means you have to spray again.
You created a super race of bad guys.
And eventually you're in this spraying continuously, and your neighbors are spraying continuously. And I don't know where you think that poison goes, but it ends up in the water. And who's drinking the water and being poisoned? You are. So do not use a poison as a general rule. If you need it and you absolutely know you need it, fine. But don't have a lawn service company come out and spray an insecticide when you don't know that you need it. You're poisoning your children. That's not nice. It's not fair.
Here, on a lighter note, is Master Gardener Diana lives in a community close by here, and she got this Chickasaw Plum from one of our Arbor Day giveaways. So it was tiny, but she says about 5 or 6 years ago. So look at it blooming last week.
Beautiful. And this is a plant that a lot of times you'll drive along and it'll be near a roadway somewhere. If you're out in the country where
you think it's a dogwood.
Yeah, it's at the edge of the woods, but it's just a beautiful white. They produce some little tiny fruit.
The birds are going to get them.
Oh, they love them. You're
Yeah.
never going to have a chance at it. But it is a great plant, and it is native. That's a nice thing to add to almost any landscape.
Yeah, yes, we highly recommend them. And one more thing I want to share with everyone who happens to be anywhere in or around Hernando County. We're having an Earth Day celebration between Florida Friendly Landscaping and the Hernando County Master Gardeners and other various entities on Saturday, April 23rd at the Master Gardener Nursery on Oliver Street in Brooksville. Anyone familiar with this area? That is the same street you would follow to go to Animal Services behind the fairgrounds, but you just kind of stay straight and you will end up in the parking lot where the Master Gardeners have their nursery. But we're also going to have a pollinator workshop. Kathleen Shields is going to be running that. We'll have a kids table by the amazing Teresa. And the lady who took the picture of those Ibis, she's going to help run a macro photography workshop. So either bring your phone or your camera, whatever you want, and she'll tell you how to get those wonderful close-ups of butterflies, flowers. She trained me and helped me get that picture right there. That's mine. So, she's a great teacher. We'll also have recycling information and, of course, information about Florida Friendly Landscaping. So let's see if we can do I hope they saw that. Maybe not. But
do we have any questions?
Yes, if we have any. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see the pictures. Some of them could. Well, I'm sorry, it didn't work. You know where all those pictures are? I will tell you where all those pictures are. They are all on my Facebook page. Sorry, I'm not really all that good at showing his, figuring out his StreamYard program. There you go. Every one of those pictures that I just showed you are, or tried to show you, are on my Facebook page there. You get to see the sky blue lupine, the ibis, that Chickasaw plum, and also find out about that Earth Day celebration as well. So if we have any questions, we're here to answer them if anyone has any new questions today. Oh, we do. Cindy. Is there a natural way to get rid of drywood termites since we brought termites up? Or do you need to tent your house?
Unfortunately, that's what you end up having to do. If the infestation is caught really quick, they can treat just an area. But if it's taken any time, they end up doing the tenting. I had a friend that found some sawdust on one of the windowsills. And they came out and they found that the infestation was only an area about 8 or 9 feet square. And they ended up, they were able to locally treat that area. But if it had been any worse than that, they would have ended up tenting the house. is really a serious thing to have happen. And of course, if you've got tropical fish, how do you move a big aquarium? You got to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those situations where I thought I was going to have that done, and I had a 100-gallon aquarium. You got to move everything out, and you got to take the water out because the water will get the poison in it. And fortunately, it wasn't what I thought it was. So,
and it's a different attitude here in Florida. It's interesting. For some reason, maybe that was years ago too. Up north, if your house had to be tented, it was like this big embarrassment. Yeah, people looked at you like, "Ew, what's wrong with you?" You know. Down here, it's like no big deal. And I remember talking to someone who grew up in Miami, and she was like, "What do you? If someone had to get their house tented, all their friends brought all their old wooden furniture into their friend's house. It was like, you know, a big celebration. So, woohoo! I get to get this chair treated for free." So,
well, up north, termites and bed bugs are about as common. So, you know,
yeah.
you never knew why they were being treated, but it must have been something really serious. Here,
Okay.
termites are very, very common, and there's no stigma associated with it. So.
There shouldn't be any stigma anyway, but it just seems like there always was, you know. And I guess it may have come off, like you said, from bed bugs, or from even coming out of the 1918 flu. You know, that you're just like afraid of. Ooh, there's something. There's something unknown, and maybe that will cause me harm going on there. So I'm going to, you know, ostracize them or something. And now you just drive by and you're like, "Oh yeah, look, Dan's house is being treated." You know, so I guess that's a good thing in some way. Do we have any other questions here? Lee also has a giant milkweed. Said if we have any other, what should be going on in your vegetable garden about now? These looks gorgeous.
This is about time. You know, if you had plants started, I would say I would put them out now.
Okay.
This is one of those things where.
You mean warm season plants?
Warm season. I think you could probably count on ending your warm season garden. You've got 3 months right now of warm season, and then the warm season's
too
done.
hot. That's too hot.
So you're probably going to be able to find some plants that Walmart hasn't been able to sell, or one of those places, and now is the ideal time to buy those plants. They've gotten big. You put them in the ground, they're going to start producing right away, especially tomatoes. This is the perfect time to start a big tomato plant. You'll have plenty of time to get some fruit, and tomatoes are like the apples of the north here. Apples are the #1 plant for diseases. There's over 200 diseases that affect apple trees. And there's about 200 diseases that affect tomatoes. Every fungus that exists, every virus that exists affects tomatoes. It's a tough plant if it's not in its little time frame.
I was reading a book that its time frame was the 30s and 40s, and it was about coincidentally about apple orchards in Maine. And oh my gosh, we're reading about all the poisons and chemicals they put all over those apples at that time. I was like, oh my gosh, it was,
They actually used arsenic on the fruit at some point, trying to solve problems. The 20s were probably not a good time to be buying raw vegetables.
Yeah, so we have a question here from Bassam. He wants to know, is having mulch or compost close to the house, will that encourage termites to get in the house?
Yes, it will. Some of the mulches are worse than others. The Melaleuca is the most termite free, but none of the woods are actually perfect. So
Well, because that's termites, what they eat. Yeah.
so you really need some space between the mulch and the building. And what you want to do is look for the little tubes on the building. You
Mud
don't
tubes.
Yeah, little mud tubes, and you don't want plants that actually touch the building. If you have landscaping that touches the building, prune it back so that there is a space between the landscaping and the building. The subterranean termites, which are what you're looking at in this situation, have to be able to return back to a source of moisture. And if you eliminate their ability to get in the first place, then you don't have to worry about them getting back.
Should you fill that space with rock?
Absolutely no. I think.
Can you tell I ask him leading questions?
Yeah. The nice thing about rock is that once you start with rock, you never get rid of it. It slowly sinks in. While it's standing up there, it produces a tremendous amount of heat. It cooks off the plants that are in front of it. It adds absolutely nothing to anything and becomes a mess later on, no matter what you're trying to do. So
it also holds in moisture, so they can climb the rocky area because it's wet there to get to your house. If you have nothing but bare sand, like even 8 inches or so,
yeah,
that you've created the Sahara Desert there for them. Hard to keep the weeds out of there. Also, if you are irrigating that all the time, you're not solving that problem either.
You know what I think about weeds? There's a product that works really good on weeds.
Well, okay.
It's called glyphosate. And it's one of those things that there is a difference of opinion in the world. There are those that like Roundup, and there are those that don't like Roundup. I happen to be one that does. She's on the fence.
I am on the fence. How'd you know that?
And
because I just say nothing. That's
Yeah.
the easiest thing.
But it has a definite place and that's one of the places to keep things clean in that situation. It works pretty well.
It also having that space makes it easier if you're going to paint your house, or you have workers coming, to get to various sections of your house that they need to get to. Makes it all cleaner all the way around. But just putting rocks all around your house, as Bernie said, it's not good for the plants that you have in it. We're in Florida. It's hot. You've created a wonderful little pizza oven for your plants. I love rocks. I love rocks so much. I'm sure Ellen from Colorado loves rocks too, but I use them as decorative points, borders for the plant beds, things like that, but not as a mulch. So, and when we are talking about mulches, right now, as we're talking to you, there are termites in your yard. They're there. They're part of the natural ecosystem. What you need to do is to try to keep them away from your house. And I don't know anymore if they treat the ground like they used to before they build houses, or what they utilize to do that. I'll have to find that out.
The chemical that was super effective is obviously banned now. What was it, chlordane?
Yeah, I think so.
And that worked really well.
Killed everything.
No
living thing in that soil.
There are some situations though on rocks where they look good and they work right. If there's no landscaping and there's nothing where the radiant heat off the rocks is going to foul things up, put a barrier down, put edging, and build the rocks on top of the barrier. Yeah. Now it's got to be out in the open, and at that point, if you need to go in and remove it, and by a barrier I mean something like uh, uh, hardware cloth.
Yeah, you need that barrier because here in Florida, you put down rocks. By the next year, you will have no idea where those rocks are.
Yeah. So if you use
It could be
hardware
in the
cloth,
aquifer.
that stops the mobility by having them build up slightly.
Is an all
Makes it
rock
easier to
yard a viable option?
In California, probably.
In Florida, I can answer. I'll tell you right now.
No.
You will not be considered a Florida-friendly yard if it's all rock. Florida-friendly yards need plants. Kind of weird. So an all rock yard, you may think that's the answer to my landscaping issues. It's not. It's going to be hot as heck. It's going to make your energy bills go up like crazy, and especially if you live in a mobile home or something like that. And because a lot of them want to solve their issues with their small lots and their mobile homes of just having all rock. I can't imagine what their electric bill is, and you wouldn't want to enjoy any time outside like that. And the weeds are going to pop through. So you're going to be using more of his product, which, is not a good thing to overuse, especially anyway. So I say use them decoratively, like if you have an area. I'm all for them for like gravel for paths, walking paths, because that is a Florida-friendly principle, to allow more permeable surfaces in your yard. So gravel, shells, mulch, walkways allow the water to go through.
I love mulch walkways. I don't understand why we don't do that more often. That is the ideal situation. Pine bark mulch works perfect for that. It decomposes slowly. It improves the soil. There's nothing bad about pine bark mulch. It makes perfect walkways.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing.
I'm talking about
fairly flammable. See, you're always going to find something
in the walkway.
Yes, in the walkway. Yes.
I've never had a fire in my walkway.
Okay. So. Well, I'm just because right now, and that's something we can talk about in the next 8 minutes. We just had rain, but before that it was dry. And those freezes that we discussed and all those brown plants. So, well, let me back up. Let me back up and say Florida with no people in it is a fire maintained wilderness. So that's what it wants to do naturally, is maintain itself by having wildfires. And there are some plants that actually can't grow without that. And so a lot of the native plants are actually pretty flammable because of, how nature should work. So now we all live here, and the whole country learned about what a bad idea fire suppression was, that they did, probably 1900 to 1960 probably, or more. And, a lot of places are learning to do the controlled burns, at least in the wild areas. But obviously you can't do that in your yard. So we have all this frozen material. We have it hot as heck, and we have it windy, and any spare spark could start a fire. And I know here in Hernando County, we've had little brush fires pretty much continuously for the past 2 weeks. Our Weeki Wachee Preserve got to experience some fire, which I thought for the preserve, not as a big deal as if it were in the neighborhood, because, again, that fire maintained wilderness might actually be a fairly good thing. So I've been thinking that Bill and I need to do a little impromptu class on Firewise Landscaping if people are concerned about that. And my challenge is to find the balance between Florida friendly and Firewise, because sometimes they contradict each other. But the real balance is in that defensible space. You can have all those native wonderful plants, but keep them outside of the range of the defensible space around your yard. And your pine bark mulch made me think about that too.
So many of the plants have a waxy coating, and that wax burns. That it's amazing. If you're from up north and you had a fire in your backyard, anything that was green didn't burn.
Mm-hmm.
But you come here, and almost anything that's green has got something that's going to burn. It's amazing.
Because again, that's how this area was created. It's a fire maintained, wilderness. So the plants are created to catch on fire and then start new life, again. So yeah, not all native plants are flammable. I'm not going to say that by any means, but that's what I'm going to work on and get Bill and I to do, maybe a pre-recorded class. If you're interested in that, look for it in the next few weeks, when we get time to do it, about Firewise and Florida Friendly. There's its name, Florida Friendly and Firewise. See, there we go.
What do you think of the red mulch?
Well, I've tried to do some reading. The University of Florida doesn't have a lot to say about it. So assuming it's like a soy-based dye, that's not going to hurt anything. It's probably, not harmful.
What about cypress mulch?
So now he gets to ask the leading questions. Cypress mulch used to be touted as termite repellent, but I'll tell you now, there's no old hardwood cypress trees left except in preserves that would have that, that the old oil in it, cypress oil, that might repel termites. So what you're getting are new young trees that people go to the wetlands, shred down, sell to us instantly as mulch. That is not an ethical or sustainable practice that Florida Friendly Landscaping promotes. So even though you walk in this big box store and there's the cypress mulch at the door and it's the cheapest, just know Florida Friendly Landscaping, that's not a recommended mulch by Florida Friendly Landscaping, just because it is not a sustainable practice for our ecosystem.
The mulch that's probably the most Florida friendly is Melaleuca. We have Melaleuca trees in South Florida that are a problem. The solution.
Punks. They're punks.
Yeah.
They used to be called the punk tree.
The solution is to turn them into mulch, and that works. And
yes,
we could send it up north, but we can't even get the people in the South to buy it. It has,
and because of the Melaleuca oil, it does have some termite repellent properties. I wouldn't count on it.
It's not perfect, but it's better than most.
Right. Now, Lee, be careful if you want to get some Melaleuca mulch. Don't go to just this open area where they said, look, we shredded all these Melaleuca trees. Go ahead and take the mulch. That's not heat treated to kill out the seeds. So get it from the store in the bags. I think it's called Eco Mulch, something like that. Flora Mulch. Flora Mulch is one of the names of it. It ages to like a nice silvery color. And in doing that, you are encouraging that industry so that we get rid of more of these invasive trees in South Florida. They were planted in the 30s to dry up the Everglades. They did a great job. They really did their job really well, but now, of course, they're growing out of control.
But when you fly over down there, there's just miles of that stuff, and it's really dense, and it's a bad thing.
Yeah, Melaleuca, just like the medicinal oil that you find that smells horrible, the Melaleuca. These are the trees. They got them from Australia. The interesting thing is, I think they're endangered in Australia, so I'm not sure why we can't just ship some over.
I like that.
But again, that's the wrong place, because the most invasive species of all moved stuff around and messed stuff up. So, but that happens. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. So
Goodness.
yeah, see, we could keep talking all day, but but I do have other stuff I need to do, and we know you do too. I think Bill will be back next week, but not making any promises. So hopefully we'll see him again. And thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your beautiful yard with us, Lee. We're going to be down tomorrow. Expect us at lunchtime. You would like some pressed Cuban sandwiches while we're
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll see everybody, or I'll see everybody next week. Maybe we'll pop in and see Bernie too. Who knows? Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.